Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Mineral Meetup. Today we have some very special guests joining us. Before we get into meeting each of our guests individually, before we go on to having our normal conversation style chat, um, I would like to let everybody know here who is a subscriber to my channel that I do have in my Dremel Lapidary group for subscribers a special carving contest happening now until September 20th. And the details are in the group. And to get into that group, just look into the video description to find all the links. There will be links to all of my guest businesses today. And I sure hope that you enjoy having them in your house as much as I do. So, with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our first guest today, and that is Kelley Laughlin. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much for letting me be here today. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so glad you came here. You are one of my favorite people in the rock world. You don't mince words. You definitely know what you're talking about as far as a lot of um, things go with identifications. And I really like your style. You're a pretty cool guy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been doing it I started collecting over 50 years ago. And then I went to school to be a geologist, and I have never worked as a geologist. Just did it because I was selling rocks and I wanted to have a better understanding of what I was selling. But it's always been a passion with me to learn more about what it is that I'm doing. So, thank you very much. I appreciate You made me sound so much better than I really am. So, I appreciate that.
Huh. So, how did you get into the whole rock hobby?
Um, I started, like I said, I started when I was very young. When I was about 5 years old, I walked down the block and I picked up the same piece of limestone out of everybody's gravel, and that was my first rock collection. And then 2 days later, of course, my mom tossed it out. I was very mad at her, but I just never looked back from there. I just kept on going, and as I got older, I got more refined. When I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I actually quit my job and decided I wanted to do this full time, and bought myself a RV and spent 5 years traveling around the country, going to every rock shop, every museum that I could find, going to shows, and selling my jewelry. Mostly, I was just doing jewelry back then. So yeah, traveling around doing art shows.
That sounds like fun.
It was. I don't think I could do it today. It's hard. It's physically hard work to do, but I don't. But I had a lot of fun when I was younger doing it.
That's awesome. So, I'd like to hear a little bit about your business. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
I started doing. I started doing jewelry to begin with. I was really into the whole woo thing, the healing crystal thing, and I kind of got out of that after about 5 years. Um, Mostly, I worked online and just sold jewelry for the first 20 years or so I was in business. I did have a small store down in Carbondale, Illinois, back in the late 80s. It didn't last very long. I went through a divorce and we kind of split the store up, so it just never got off the ground really. My current store is in Vulcan, Michigan. Um, it's in the Upper Peninsula. I moved up here some 20 years ago. I was really fascinated by the mineralogy of the Michigan iron mining districts. So I moved to the area. I started learning more about it. I now, for some strange reason, considered one of the experts just on this area. So my grandfather always told me, if you want to be the top in your field, pick a really, really small field. So that's what I did. And I've got a pretty nice little shop that my son mostly runs, and I still do the mail order business and run the jewelry. And I stay inside the workshop, and he runs the store, and we stay out of each other's hair and get along that way. So,
Sounds like a good plan.
yeah,
I love that you have a kid that took up the interest.
I do too. I really do too. It's because I see so many. I hate to say this, but we acquire a lot of collections from people who have passed on, and a lot of times their relatives don't understand what the collection is worth, or even care about it. And it's nice for me to know that after I'm gone, there's going to be somebody that's going to have all of my stuff that cares about it. knows what to do with it. So I'm really happy about that. I really am.
That's a beautiful thing. Um, okay, well, thanks for giving us a brief introduction to you and your business. We're going to take you off the screen and introduce our next guest now, real
All
quick.
right.
The next person I want to introduce is Lewis. He is one of my most favorite people. So here is Lewis.
Hello. Nice to meet you all.
Hi.
Well,
Welcome.
thank you. Well, I've been
So,
in the rock. Huh?
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry. Well, I've been in the rock community since I was a little kid. I just been collecting, not working on them. I just recently started working with rocks about 5 years ago, just drilling and just making little pendants here and there. But now I had the opportunity to start making my own jewelry with rocks, and I'm starting it now. So I'm barely starting with everything. So
Great. It'll be nice to have a beginner's perspective.
yeah.
So
So
you
like I started.
can tell us if when we're teaching, if our ways are not helpful, or if there's things that you could have us improve upon as far as like how we go about teaching, that would be super helpful. Also,
Oh
you're
well,
one of my admin team, right?
yeah, correct. For the Dremel Lapidary group, I was able to say it. I don't know if you heard it or not. I think you froze.
Okay, we're hotspot on my phone, just in case. So while I do that, I'm going to introduce Josh. And Josh, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into rocks?
All right. So I have always been interested in gemstones and a variety of natural entities and or like the fruit of a tree. And so over the years, I would on like hiking trips and everything like that. And while I was on hiking trips, if I found a gemstone termination, of course, I collected it. And then I found one time when I was in Colorado, I found this absolutely beautiful pine cone. And here, actually, just over 3 years ago, I got in a really bad car accident, and I got a really bad brain injury, and so I had to sit out of college for a semester. And while I had my downtime, I've always been an artist. I've drawn, I've worked with ceramics, yada yada yada. And well, I had those souvenirs for my different hiking trips, and I just thought that they suited each other very well, and like the diameter of the amethyst termination I had and the diameter of the pine cone that I had matched up pretty perfectly, and the pine cone was entirely closed. So I decided I was going to slice both of them and meet them up where their diameters matched up. So after I made the first one, I didn't. I just made one because I wanted to make myself a pendant out of some beautiful natural existing items, and I orders started to pour in. Like my best friends started to be like, dude, like I really want one. And I had relatives asking me, and I'm still going to Purdue at this time, but other than Purdue, Pinestone is kind of my full-time grind. I've made over 100 pendants at this point. I've started making jars and customizing different items that people are fond of and they want to have a pine stone on it. And, I grew fonder and fonder for the trade that I dipped my toes into, and I decided to kind of jump in full time. I don't graduate until December, but after I graduate in December, I plan on pursuing pine stone full time.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
I'm
Cool.
very excited for it myself.
So, as far as your business goes, where do you run most of your sales from?
So a lot of my sales are custom. I have my own website. You can see in the list of links that pinestone.com is one of them. I call it Pinestone because there's a pine cone in a stone. There's a pine cone in a stone. It has not, a lot of people think it has something to do with marijuana, and it doesn't. I was completely sober when I created Pinestone. And it just, the name fit. I feel very lucky to have gotten the URL myself. Either that, I don't use Etsy. I'm not a big fan of Etsy. I don't like how littered it is with. There's a lot of different localities on Etsy, and some of them have the ability to take my craft and create it for themselves over in China and elsewhere where it's not as expensive per hour. I don't want to do that. So generally, if people DM me on Instagram, or there is actually a custom forum. There's actually a forum for custom work on the website that you can fill out, and I can run from there, and we can stay in contact. But mostly on the website and through Instagram.
It's so nice to see a young person get excited about this. So I'm glad you're here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay. I'm going to take you off the screen now and introduce our next guest. Our next guest is Courtney King. She is one of the admin team for quite a few of my groups, and she has her own rock business, and she's going to tell us all about it. Welcome, Courtney.
Hi, how are you? So I'm Courtney. I run CNS Services, Cabs and Stones.
Oh, hold
mostly,
on.
you froze again.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
You just can't see me?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. I am so sorry about that. I had to disconnect and come all the way into the house. So let's see. Courtney, I'm going to let you tell me all about your business now. I'm sorry, I don't know what I missed.
No, that's okay. I stopped talking because I wasn't sure what was going on. So, yeah, I'm Courtney King. I run CNS Services. I cut cabs for jewelry makers. I've been doing it for about 5 years. I started with just a Dremel. Did that for about 1.5 years and then got a cab machine and have been kind of ramping up production. I retired from my day job in August, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more going on at that time. I've been selling just for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I just recently today delivered my first order of cabs to a local jewelry store. So that's super exciting for us. You know, it's a little bit more in person, touchy-feely, which is nice. Most of what I do is through Facebook. I do admin a couple of your groups, the Aurora Rocks and Gems and the 24/7 live feed sites. And then I admin for a couple other groups as well. But most of what I do is on Facebook. But it started out, you know, mining. We went mining one year and just really kind of got into it. And I've always loved rocks since I was very young. And then, of course, you know, kind of forgot about it as life went on and high school came and all that good stuff. So as I got older, I guess I was about 48 or so when I started getting back into it, and I'm really glad I did. Met a lot of really great people, and it's just a lot of fun for me. I love all the rocks. I like to take them from rough to just gorgeous, and you know, sell them or give them to people just to enjoy. You know, and I try and keep the prices as low as I can while still covering my costs, just so other people can make money too. You know, I want the jewelry makers to be able to spend what they need to spend, but not more than they have to, so they can still have some meat on the bones to do what they need to do as well.
I love that you have your stuff in a boutique now. That's so cool.
Yeah, so exciting, right? Yeah, me too. I can't believe it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to take you off and introduce our next guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next guest is David Leaton. Welcome.
Oh, you guys got me working, didn't you? Yeah, I was sitting here doing some roughing out some cabs and making some notes on some stuff I've got here. So you'll have to excuse me. I'll get the funny looking hat off the top of my head there. So my name is Dave, as Kirsten's already said. So I've just been a collector for a few years here. I got into cabbing about 3 years ago. Not quite 3 years ago. I did tumbling first. And so mostly what I make is pop sockets, or what we call rock sockets. So I do a lot of those because we have an autism charity that we buy rock tumblers for kids who have autism. And so most of the time I'm making cabs that we sell to support the charity with. And so I've been doing a lot of that. And I do make bolo ties. I do a lot of rock tumbling, things of that nature. I get to go out and collect once in a while. Been out with Kirsten, done a couple of things. That was fantastic. Enjoyed that. And but mostly I've been sitting here in my shop today trying to get things cleaned up and ready to get rolling again. Had to take a little bit of time off finishing up a job that I had. And so I'm sitting here working on stromatolite and some Bruno Jasper this afternoon to make a couple of cabs out of. And but I also helped Kirsten out in her rock and mineral groups. I admin the rock and mineral identification for beginners and the open chat room, and help her out in a couple of other ones. And then on the rest, I'm a special education teacher. And so kind of how I got into the rock tumbling thing for the kids who have autism and running a charity. And so that's me in a nutshell. Just kind of that guy who fell into this by accident, started cabbing. I got my first cabbing machine just about 2 years ago, and have upgraded to a shop full of equipment because I just don't know when to quit.
I understand that. It's the need for constant improvement. I have that.
Yes. And my wife says I have an addictive personality. So if you have a slab saw, you must have a trim saw. And if you have a trim saw, you must have what goes to the trim saw. And of course, if you have that, then you must have the rest. And so every time I get something, she's counting the money that it's going to cost me to get the other things that I want to go with it.
Oh. Okay, well, thank you for the nice, warm introductions, everyone. Going to go ahead and bring everyone on screen real quick, and we'll do some discussion.
Hi, everybody.
Howdy.
Good to be able to put names and faces together finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good to actually meet you and Kirsten in person, Dave.
Oh, something that would be so much fun. And
yeah,
I would
actually in person.
Yeah. I would love to get to be able to meet everybody, just all of us get in a group. I know now, Josh, do you also help Kirsten out in her groups?
Yeah, I'm just a moderator though. I'm not an admin.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that you were the same Josh that I see as a moderator, because we have so many different people and I've seen so many Joshes. So
yeah, there are a lot of Joshes. I get that. I actually get that a lot. People tell me I have a very regular name.
Well, and then Kelley came on board with us not long ago, and that has been a godsend, I'll tell you. The knowledge that you bring, Kelley, has been fantastic, especially for beginners like me.
I'm more than happy to help people out who are just beginning. I really enjoy it, actually. So if anybody ever has any questions, anybody here or anybody watching, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to help. I've been doing lapidary work for about 35 years now. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That is very, very good to know.
I'm also a silversmith too, so there's one of the things I made.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's pretty.
Thanks.
Would like to have you and a gentleman here close to where I live named Don Esch. I would love to have both of you in a show one time talking about the silversmithing. He's supposed to teach me. Finding the time can be difficult sometimes.
It's a lot easier than you think it is. It's just not as glamorous as most people think it is. It's kind of boring and it's kind of dirty work. So it's, like I say, it's not as glamorous as many people think.
It's the end result that gets it.
Yeah. There's something else I made.
That is badass.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Thanks.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
My dad did silversmithing, but he lives 2,000 miles away, so trying to learn from him.
Yeah, that's not it. Yeah. I've been wanting to make some more tutorial videos. I'm really bad at making videos. My son says I sound like a middle schooler doing a oral report to the class, so I've had a really hard time actually doing a scripted video.
My husband tells me the same thing. You're too monotone.
Mm-hmm.
I am too worried about my lack in documentation skills that I don't often make videos. I definitely don't make instructional videos, but yeah, no, I'm not good at documenting my work.
Right.
I'm not as tech savvy as most of the people in my generation, I reckon.
It's because you're out playing with rocks, and that's awesome.
Hey, it works with me.
Now, Kirsten, you do some silversmithing also, don't you? Uh-oh, did we lose her again? I'm getting feedback.
Yeah.
Thanks, so yeah, I'm
Sounds like
getting
crickets.
feedback too.
Yeah. Now, all my sound runs through my hearing aid, so that it does feedback a little bit.
Maybe that's what it is.
So
Yeah,
maybe
there
what?
appear to be a way to stop that.
There she is. So, Kirsten, did you hear my question to you?
No, can you say it one more time?
You do some silversmithing also, don't you?
I do very little silversmithing. I'm very new to it. I do very little silversmithing. I'm very new to it. Sorry, guys. I'm having a lot of feedback, so I'm going to be in the private chat, directing the conversation there. I think it might help.
Okay.
All right. I wonder if there's a way to get so we can have chat and video both.
I have it both on my computer, but I'm on the computer, not on the phone. So.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, and where I'm really great with computers, I'm horrible with phones. I'll leave that
Right.
Or the young guys like Josh.
Right.
Hey, I've got my computer upstairs. I just don't like going up there because all the heat rises. Not that my garage is much better, but.
So a question I was wondering, so we all have the things that we like to do, but do you feel like something like, for me, I feel like not knowing how to do silversmithing, I feel like something is missing in my skill set. Are you guys the same way? Something that you would like to do that you feel like is missing, and what would set you apart from everyone else?
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I myself would love to incorporate silversmithing into Pinestone because I think it'd make my work better quality. If I could put some silver backing behind like a flat cut sliver of pine cone, right here, like behind a flat cut. This is hard. Flat cut sliver of pine cone. I think it would look a lot better. I also wouldn't have to rely so much on epoxy. And then I need to get familiar with a flat lap. I still use my Dremel for everything. Since I'm a college kid, I don't have the funds to invest into lapidary as much as I wish I could.
It is an expensive hobby.
It is. So we have a question in the comments. There's a lady that wants to know how best to go about getting started selling. So from my perspective, I literally just got enough inventory to where I was comfortable and then just started posting stuff, getting in some groups, started meeting some people, doing some networking, and then just started posting. Just post. And, once people see you and they know you're going to be consistent, they know you're going to be out there, they start to gain a little confidence that you're not just, somebody just popping in and then popping back out. And, as you get better at what you do, people will start buying from you, but it's a lot about consistency.
Yeah, and one thing I can't stress enough is to really get to know the market and what things are worth, so that you're not underpricing or overpricing your wares. Because if you're underpricing, obviously you're hurting yourself. And if you're overpricing, people aren't going to buy your stuff. So really pay attention to the market before you get into it, so you have a better idea of what and can charge for your work.
Right, and don't forget to charge for your time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's kind of
hard sometimes.
Yeah, because we love it so much and we just love to do it. We forget about that our time is worth something.
Yeah, not only that, but we're also having to compete with the third world, and they can drop prices a lot lower than we can afford to make stuff for sometimes in this country. So,
right.
It's kind of tough. You got to find that happy medium between between overcharging and undercharging. So
Right.
Try to
Well,
develop
a lot of
a
that, too.
unique. Try to develop a unique characteristic and something that'll catch people's eye, and or like this, like sustainable materials into your work. Like you have to feed our public, our community, you know, our customer basis on what they're fond of. And you know, it's 2021, and definitely sustainability is huge. People love items from nature, something that's longevity too. You know, you have to be able to deliver all of the characteristics of your product and or work that you believe somebody is going to be fond of, in the right form. And it's hard, but start out by selling to your friends and your family. You know, try to get a review or two on your website or something like that, or however you're doing it. You know, show people you want to do what you're doing. Continue to do it. Be passionate about it. People love passion. They want to support somebody that's passionate. And I'd say those are just a couple of things. You know, you get more and more into your specialty, and you'll really understand what you need to do to get more sales. But
Right.
and
All good point.
don't get discouraged
You
in
can also
the
do.
beginning. I'm sorry, Louis. Go ahead.
What you can also do is try to find out your basically what it's called, your target audience. Go around there. From there, move on, but don't go overspending. Get a limited amount of items you want that you want to sell, and start there. Start slow, and eventually get higher. But get to know your audience first. How to advertise yourself, sell your item, how you're gonna sell it, put a price tag that you're able to both negotiate a little bit and not too much to be overspend nor lower spend. If it makes any sense.
That really does, Louis. Thank you, because all of you touched on something I was thinking about. So in order to sell, one thing that's really important is know where to get your rough product. Don't pay so much for it that you can't afford to sell it at a market price that makes you a profit. Been there, done that. When you first get into this, you just see things that you like and you're jumping out and you're buying it. You don't understand the value. You don't really know who you're buying from. And I bought a lot of material that honestly I have to resell it at a loss because I had no clue what I was doing.
That's a really good point, David. I'm actually doing that right now. I just went through a whole bunch of buckets from when I very first started, had no clue what was going on, and I will lose my butt on it. But hopefully I'll at least, you know, get something back if they won't just sit there for another 5 years.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah. So.
So those of you who can see the video screen, do we have any more questions? I don't have my computer up, so all I have is my cell phone. So Kelley, you're newer to us, to me at least, than what the rest of the group are. You just joined, I think, Cheerston's sites, what, maybe 6 months ago?
Yeah,
and I heard you say maybe not even that. And I know you said that you've been cabbing for about 35 years. And from the chat that we got when we talked through chat, there, I took it that you were mostly, you did the geology, that you were more into sales of rough and slabs or exotic materials versus cabbing. So how much cabbing do you do, and what kind of cabbing?
I just cut 12 or 14 cabs today. Mostly I'm doing smaller stones I make a lot of rings, so I'm doing a lot of ring size stones. So
Yeah, and
you
you're,
know
you're
what?
setting those in your own silver.
Right. So that's what I'm doing a lot. I do a lot of local stuff to my area. I do live in a very, very isolated region of the United States, and tourism is a very big business here. So I
Mm-hmm.
cut a lot of Lake Superior agates, jasperite, combination of jasper and hematite that's local to the area, Kona dolomite, a lot of local ornamental stones I try to use because people want that when they come up here. Dadolites is another one, Michigan greenstones. So I'm doing a
Tell me
lot of
about
that
that
stuff.
Kona. Tell me about
Kona
that Kona
dolomite?
dolomite. You sent me some, and I haven't got to do anything with it yet, and I wasn't really sure what it's used for.
It's an ornamental stone. You can cut calves with it. It's a little soft. It is a dolomite, so it's just a little bit harder than calcite. Some of it's a little bit better silicified though, so I'm not sure how good the piece was I sent you. You'll just have to experiment with it. With the only problem, one of the problems with Kona dolomite is the hardness is hardly ever the same from piece to piece, so you really do have to experiment with it. So
Now, is that something that you stabilize, or do you just use it as is?
I have never stabilized it. I don't make rings with it though. I just use it for pendants and earrings because to me it's too soft for rings. It'd be scratched up too easy.
Right.
Same thing
I
with
get that.
Petoskey stones, which is another local thing to our area. It's a hexagonaria coral fossil. And the same thing, it's just simply too soft for rings, but it makes beautiful pendants. So
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Kirsten, you're back. Good to see you.
I am back. I'm so glad. I think we worked out what the issue was with our audio. So everything sounds good now, and hopefully from here on out. So I heard you were talking, was it about dolomite?
Mhm.
Yes.
The Rolling Hills dolomite?
Kona dolomite, but it's in composition. It's very similar. It doesn't look quite the same, but it is similar in composition. You know what? I might have a slab of it here if I'll get up and walk away for a sec.
Oh, yeah. I would love to see that. In fact, I would love to see all of your guys' projects and what you have going on if you have it close by to you.
I have a few cabs close by I could show you while he's doing that. So this is a piece of shadowkite that I cut recently. You see it? Wow, this is awkward.
It's backwards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to go this way, not that way. So there's that. There's loosened veracite that I cut a couple weeks ago. There is...
Hey, that's from by me.
The loosen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff.
Hyacinth jasper, just all kinds of cabs, because that's what I do. Little Morenci turquoise with pyrite.
Nice.
It's just crazy shiny. We were just showing off some stuff till you got back with the Kona.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Is that moose blood?
It is moose blood. Very good. Very good. And that's it. That's the red spots in it is commonly called moose blood locally. But yeah, that's it. Usually you get the pinks and the light purples, but it's pretty stuff. It's pretty stuff.
Yeah, I love to cut the dolomite.
And it's not a well-known ornamental stone, which is cool because when you put it out there, people are enthralled by it and they like it because of the colors. So, and I never heard of that. I want a piece. So it's good. It's good material to work with.
Well, and you have
easy.
A store.
Yes, very
matter of fact, you're just moving into a new location, Kelley.
We are. We're going to move about 2 miles up the road.
So is that part of what you do in your store? You sell the cabs, the necklaces, the rough, the specimens.
Yeah, we sell everywhere. We're like at the old-fashioned kind of rock shop that kind of disappeared back around the 1990s. So we try to sell rough. The only thing we don't sell that an old-fashioned rock shop might have is equipment. And that's because if you know Kingsley North, they are literally a mile up the road from me. So there's no way I can compete with them. And they're really good friends of mine over there. I don't even want to compete with them. So if somebody comes in looking for equipment, we just send them over there.
Well, that's a nice two-edged sword, though. I mean, you may have to compete on one hand, but your supply chain is very close to you for other things.
Yeah, right. I don't have to pay shipping. Right. It's all right.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, King's, go ahead.
I was saying where we're moving to, we're going to be right around the corner from them too. So I could just walk over there. I wouldn't even have to spend any gas money.
So some of them have joined our Rock Tumbler for Autism group, and that's where we buy all of our Rock Tumblers from that we send the kids who have autism. And they've been really good to us over there. I can look, and if something's out of stock, they'll go looking for me, or they'll make an order so that the first thing that sets up when they come in, we have Rock Tumblers going out to the kids. So Kingsley North, yes, I don't have a problem plugging them at all. I'm glad you brought them up. Been a fantastic company for us.
Yeah, they're wonderful people over there. I can vouch for them personally because I personally know everybody that works there. So yeah, a bunch of really good group of people, really are. And they've been real supportive of the local rock clubs around here too. So
Nice.
Well, and they started like you did.
yeah. Everybody started that way, didn't they? Pretty much, they just started fooling around and just kept the ball rolling and going for more and more. So,
Right.
Well, you know, and that's interesting. I've talked to Sherman Rowland several times over at Highland Park Lapidary. And of course, he and his brother are the owners of Highland Park. And so when they were growing up, they were kind of like you and I and Courtney and Lewis here and Kirsten. They loved rocks. They were out with their dad doing it. One thing led to another. And eventually, they've ended up taking Highland Park and turning it around from a company that had kind of lost a little bit of popularity. And they've turned it into something brand new. So kind of the same way, kind of a success story there of its own also.
Yeah, it's always nice to see somebody in this business making it, you know, really, because it is a niche industry, let's face it. You know, we don't have, you know, wide public appeal. So when somebody's making it, you know, that they're good. You know, if they're making it, they must be good at it, right? Because not everybody in this business does make it.
Right.
In the past 35, 40 years, I've seen a lot of people come and go. So, which is unfortunate, but it happens. Not everybody is business savvy, and to stay in this business, you really need to be business savvy. So,
and it has a lot to do with the connections that you make, like King.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. You don't want to be burning bridges in this business. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I've always tried to build those bridges because I may have a customer that wants something that I totally don't have, but Dave, you have it, or Kirsten would have it, and I can send that customer to you, and you appreciate it. My customer appreciates it, and 2 years down the road, you're going to do the same thing for me, and that's how I'll keep going and keep this industry going, is by helping each other out. You know, so I'm always happy to help.
I think.
Well, you know the old saying. Go ahead, Kirsten.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's often one of those things that people overlook, is that this is a big community, and a lot of us, we all know each other. And so you don't want to cross someone because down the road, they're going to be like, well, no, you don't want to deal with this guy. So yeah, it's always keep your nose clean.
Yeah, those ripples go across the whole pond. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the old saying, make a customer happy, they'll tell 10 people, make them mad, and they'll tell 1,000. That really holds true.
Oh, yeah.
Better to eat $50 on something and have a customer relationship that you've saved for whatever connections that you have.
Right. And, you know, if you're super blessed, you gain friends out of it too. You know, I had, when I was first starting, I had a lady that bought, oh gosh, I don't know, 8 or 9 stones all at one time. And it was her first purchase. And I mailed it. And the package came open in the mail, and 5 of the stones were lost. And she sent me a message, and I said, you know, do you want me to replace them? Do you want me to send you your money back? What do you want me to do? And she said, well, whatever you want to do is fine. So I just made her new stones and sent them to her. And I learned how to package a little bit better after that, for sure. But I've gained a lifetime friend out of it. You know, we just struck up this relationship, and that's a big bonus to a lot of this as well, is getting to know your customers, getting to know people, and just meeting people. You know, that is the really extra bonus to it.
Yeah, I've met some really wonderful people doing. I just met 4 wonderful people right here.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. And I know who to leave all my rocks to when I pass because my kid does not care.
There you go. You can leave them to my kid.
I know
There you
whose
go.
collection they're going to.
So do you get your feelings hurt like I do, Courtney, when I make a really nice cab and I run in the house and I show it to my wife and she looks at me and says, but it's a rock?
Actually, I don't because my husband is very good at stroking my ego on that. He does his best to say, honey, you're doing a great job. Keep going, And he loves opals, so I throw him an opal every now and then and he's happy. So
Well, it's really odd. She tells me that all the time, but now I have a live show that I know a guy that I buy a lot of my my slabs and a lot of my rough from. And here lately, I found out she's been watching the show without me being there and bidding on a few items. But she tells me she doesn't like this rock, but she does like the spears and the hearts and some things like that. She could care less about rough. But I must be having some positive influence on her. So I have great hope for change.
There you go. There you go. Nice.
I don't want to take us too deep into the negative side of things, but I do think we should talk about some of the negative business practices we do see out there so we can warn our customers and friends about things to look out for.
Well, probably the number one for me, and so don't take this as across the board, but be careful of some of the foreign sellers. But there are places that you get it from. Some of them out there are fantastic, but you have to know where you're getting it from because there are some of them, and I've been burned twice, once on a $400 order, another one on a $600 order. Those came out of Indonesia. And so be very careful that way. Know who you're buying from. Now, that goes from anywhere, but there are some who have taken advantage of the amount of people who are here in the U.S. who are rock fanatics, and we like to buy the pretty stone. Know what you're doing and who you're getting it from. Use a method of payment so if you don't get your product or get what you paid for, you can get it back.
I just want to reiterate that I had someone from Indonesia that I was buying from for about 4 years, and it would be a couple $100 here and there. And then I decided, I trust this guy. I've been doing business with him for a long time. I really feel like I know him. And then the day before Christmas, he took me for $2,000.
Wow.
So it's a good thing to never invest more than you're willing to lose.
Right. And that's a great point. And I was going to say, Kirsten, do exactly that. Test the waters a little bit with somebody. But you do have to be careful because people, not everybody is upstanding. And it's sad that we have to do that today, that we have to kind of test people. But I think we have to do that in life in general. Test people, throw something out there, see what you get back. How are they going to treat you the same way you treat them? Are they, I don't know the right way to say what I want to say. Are they morally sound, I guess, would be the best way to say it, right? I firmly believe in the theory or idea of treat everybody the way that you want to be treated. But not everybody feels that way, and sometimes you just have to test the waters and see what happens. And if somebody treats you any way that they feel like treating you and it's not the way that you would treat them, go ahead and cut those cords. You don't have to keep them around. It's okay to cut the cords.
Right. Well, and something else that's really important too, know what you're buying. Rockhounders are like raccoons. We see something shiny and we want it and we want it now. And there's some great looking products out there that you need to find out first, is that the real thing or is that something that somebody has made a really good facsimile of?
Right.
Good point. I was just going to say that too. Good point.
I was going to say, Kelley has talked about that some in some of the groups that we admin and moderate in.
Okay.
I like to point out some of the things that are commonly faked in the market. And again, like you said, you didn't want to generalize with foreign dealers. I don't want to generalize with a part of our market that deals mostly in cures, but a lot of the dealers in that market know the cures really well, but they don't know the stones quite as well. So when you see somebody label this something as say, oh, this is polychrome jasper, or one of the things I see often is being called ocean jasper, and it's a piece of polychrome jasper. And so you got to know your product, know what it is that you're buying. Just like you said, Dave, it's really important to know. And I mean, if you like it and it's pretty and the price is right, there's no problem with buying it, even if you have it under the wrong name, I suppose. But if you're going to be selling like that, the people who you're selling to, when they find out later that you don't know what you were talking about, are probably not going to come back and buy from you again. So it's really important to know what you're buying and to know what you're selling on the other side of the coin too. So.
And that's a really good point, Kelley. People laugh at me sometimes because I will just post something as a mystery stone because I have no idea. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful and it cut really nice and it's shiny and it's pretty and it's gorgeous, but I don't know what it is. So I advertise it as a mystery stone. I don't know. I'm not going to lie and tell you, I think it's this or I think it's that, or I have on occasion where someone will make it, put in the comment, it looks like this, and then maybe I'll put in parentheses, question mark, could be this. But I still don't know for sure. So that is very important.
I've gotten slabs from collections that I bought, and I have no idea what the slab is, and it's beautiful. No idea what it is, though. So some kind of jasper, I don't know.
Right.
But beautiful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something you want to just toss out or not use. I'm sorry, Dave.
If you post something and somebody says you made a mistake, don't get butthurt over it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take it as somebody's correcting you. Hey, man, I didn't know about that. Have a great attitude about it, because that helps both parties. Getting angry because somebody told you it's not what you thought it was. Don't feel embarrassed over it. Everybody makes mistakes. I think I could spend a lifetime trying to remember what all of these different pieces that I have are, and it would probably never happen. And we make mistakes.
Right. And nobody knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if somebody's trying to help you, let them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that brings up a good point of having so many materials that you don't really remember what everything is. Label everything when you get it.
Wouldn't that be
I learned that one the hard way. I do that now. I do that now. I do it now. It's a few extra minutes when you're opening stuff, but I tell you what, I do it now because I've got so much mystery stuff that I was, when it got here, I thought, well, I'll always remember what that is. Yeah, no, I won't. Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
No, and do you know how hard it is to remember the word stromatolite? I mean, it's not an easy word to say to begin with.
Try Tayuyamunite.
Oh my!
Oh, no, thank you. I got a headache just hearing that one.
I had to say it over and over in my head all morning long till I could say it right and out loud. So.
It's so difficult, though, guys. Sometimes I will buy lots of stuff from a couple of guys, and I won't get to drive up for a month and a half to go get it. And when I get it home, I'm just excited to open the box. I'm pulling slabs out, and I'm spraying water on them, I'm over here with our vice president, Jeff. A lot of times he and I are going through them, and I set them up on the bench, and the next thing you know, I forgot what box they came out of, and some of this stuff I just don't know. So that becomes a problem. And you're right, we really should be labeling that as we go. And most materials, to write on it with a light marker or something doesn't hurt it. Just jot down what you've got.
Right.
And what you paid for it.
Or stick a note to it or something.
Right.
The one thing that I do find helpful as a buyer is itemized invoices. So many people will just send you an invoice that just says, lot from show date, whatever. I love the itemized invoices. And I itemize, I know I sell cabs, so it's a little bit different, but I itemize my invoices and you get a copy of that invoice in your package. And I do that only because I like it when people do that for me, especially if I'm holding an open box with somebody and I'm buying, maybe for a month or 2 months even before they send that box. I'm not going to remember what I bought 2 months ago, so those itemized invoices make a big difference.
Yes.
I really haven't. Sorry, Kelley, go ahead.
I was going to say that's a sign of a professional seller, is somebody that ships you a packing slip with every order. Go ahead, Kirsten. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, as far as labeling goes, I did find one trick that works really well, and that is if you get in the Band-Aid aisle of the store, the paper tape.
There you go.
You can
Perfect.
stick it right on the rock and write on it with the ink pen and ship it off that way. Then everybody knows what everything is. No
That's a
question.
great idea.
Yeah. A painter's
Yeah,
tape
or
works really
painter's
well for
tape,
that. And you
same
get it in
thing.
different colors. Right.
Right. Right.
I'm often surprised when I get compliments because I have everything labeled, and I'm like, isn't that what everybody's supposed to do? I don't, you know.
Supposed to, but doing
Yeah,
are two
so
different
that's
things, right?
That's the key word, supposed, right?
Right. Right.
I'm convinced I'm still 29 and I'll always remember.
Me too.
I wish I was 29 and did.
I don't know. I'm beginning to enjoy 59. To go back to 29 and have to do this all over again, I'm not sure.
I always hear people say, I want to be 18 and know everything I know now, but I don't. I want to be 18 and make all the same mistakes. I had too much fun making them the first time.
Sounds like a Rockhounder.
There you go.
Lewis has been awfully quiet, and I know we talk a lot, and you have to find a way to break in.
I don't think his mic is working.
Oh, okay. All right. I just
Go ahead.
didn't want to.
Don't worry.
I
Sorry
see his
about
mouth
that.
moving.
Oh, wait, there you are, Lewis. I can hear you
Yeah.
now. Yeah, I think the mic on his headphones aren't working real well. He's trying.
We're having too much fun. Don't want to leave anyone out.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Kirsten, I have a question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
What is your dream for this show?
I just want to promote as many people as possible and bring as much awareness and sorry. It looks like we have another guest here.
Awesome.
I'm going to bring him on. It is Matt Sams. Matt, you don't have audio or sound.
I can hear you.
Oh, good. I can hear you now.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hi, Matt. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you guys.
Yeah, good to finally get to meet you, Matt.
Can you turn your
Absolutely.
camera on?
Well, I can tell you I'm not done with work yet, and I'm going to a customer's house.
Oh, we understand.
No, it's all good. I'm sitting in my truck. We're having a sandwich at McDonald's on the way to my customer's house. So it's a
That's all right. They
typical
caught
day.
me with a mask on my face and bent over my desk. So
yeah, typical day for Matt.
Well, everybody else got a chance to tell us how they got into the hobby, Matt. We would love to hear your story.
So I tell you, I used to collect rocks, pick up rocks as a kid, because it was kind of, we were dirt broke poor, and that's kind of what you found, right? You could pick up a rock for free. I got one in my pocket, heart-shaped rock I found today that I'll give to my daughter when I get home tonight. Coarse crystal, no quartzite, no major thing, but to her, it's super special because Dad picked it up, you know? I've got a stupid collection that should probably be in a museum somewhere. Right now it's in containers in storage because we're building a new house and just sold our old house and are currently in an apartment till our new house gets done. But I'm an avid collector. Kirsten, I've been acquainted with for several years. I helped in some of her groups. I love to go out and dig. I mean, so much so that when I semi-retired from the railroad as an executive for the railroad, I started a business and I build rocks. That's what I do for a living, right? So kind of high-end clientele.
You build rocks.
Yep, Absolutely. We build faux rocks.
Okay.
Okay.
And to most folks in an untrained eye, you wouldn't know that it's not a rock.
That's
Interesting.
wicked
yeah.
cool.
In a nutshell, that's me. Right now, we're building a coquina kitchen. That's where I just left from. So we're building an outdoor kitchen out of coquina rock. Coquina is somewhere between, for those that don't know, it's somewhere between 12,500 years old and 2 million years old. So it is sedimentary. It's in the Anastasia creation or formation in mid-Florida. So it pretty much is shell and small coral that's like been compacted over years by limestone and is now solidified. And there's actually only one producer in the U.S. anymore, which is out of St. Augustine. So we're based out of St. Augustine. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's Matt.
Well, we're glad you're here. We were talking about people that are selling, and what else were we talking about, guys?
Well, all rockhounds are raccoons.
What to be careful of if you're buying?
We're crows.
When something shiny, mostly bread, like all nice and shiny, we just go for it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, man, I assume you were talking about you have a pretty large collection. Do you specialize in any one thing, or do you have just a general collection?
I do not. I specialize kind of in larger show type pieces. So in my other house, right before I sold it, I had probably a 60-foot by 40-foot room that was dedicated to my collection. So it's pretty vast and pretty wide and some pretty large pieces.
Very cool.
I guess all relative to what you collect, right?
Right. I was just wondering, my son collects fluoride and radioactives. He has a few other things, but 90% of his collection is fluoride and radioactives. So
no, I've got a bunch of fluorite. I don't I'm sure I've got some radioactive, but I don't know it. But, right? I mean, I've got some Arizona rainbow, pet wood. I've got a huge collection of pet wood, huge collection of fluorite. I've got a huge collection of amethyst, citrine. It goes on and on. Ruby zoisite. Yeah. A lot of copper as well. So just a great big collection. And once I get set back up and this house is done, which because of this COVID nonsense has kind of been taken forever and continues to be prolonged. But yeah, I'll take some pictures and send it to the group.
it's a copper crystal from the White Pine Mine up here in Michigan.
Oh yeah. So Michigan, I lived up in Michigan for a little bit. So you're up towards the UP?
I am in the UP. Yeah, I'm a Uper.
Nice, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Larry.
Now, Kelley, you said something about radioactive materials. I can't remember the name of it here earlier this year. I bought my wife, because she's a chemist and that's what she specializes in, I bought her some of the glass from the first glass site in New Mexico, where we tested that first atomic bomb. Trinitite, thank you. Exactly. Is that the type of stuff that you're talking about that you get into?
Well, it's not me, it's my son, but he actually collects uranium minerals like autunite, the telluriomunite that I mentioned before. He went on a expedition in conjunction with Notre Dame and the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission, and they went to a bunch of old uranium mines in Utah. They discovered, I think, 8 new minerals while they were doing it. It was all stuff that had developed on the walls of the mine post-mining, but it all developed naturally, so it wasn't man-made. It was actually natural made. So Bob Cookite, Zippyite, Andersonite, it's a few of the things that they were picking up. Percolite, a lot of rare uranium minerals.
Now,
That's
I
what he
did
likes
not
to-
know about the uranium mines there. I knew about the coal mines, but not the uranium mines, and that might account for the glow that both Kirsten and my daughter had while I was there last month.
There you go. Yeah. That's why a lot of the agates from there fluoresce that green color too. If you ever looked at that, so they've got little.
Yeah, no,
traces
I
of
didn't know about
uranium.
it.
A lot
Awesome.
of them have traces of uranium in them that give it a green glow. And it's just small traces. It's not anything that's dangerous.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
it's like, have you ever seen the Depression era uranium glass?
Yeah. The what did they call that? The Vaseline glass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a lot of people call it
Yeah.
because it was the same color as the Vaseline jars. Right, exactly.
Yeah. My
That's it.
matter of fact, my wife, being the chemist for Western Oregon University, they buy a lot of that glass off of eBay and off of Amazon and bring it in to do testing on to find out what the levels are that are left in it.
Oh, no kidding. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have
There's
friend
She
that
was a little
collects- that
disappointed that
collects-
Trinitite didn't have enough to read hardly.
Oh, really? That's amazing. I wouldn't have thought about that. I would have thought it would have been higher.
There's a couple of people around me that actually work with that material. They cab
With
it.
the Trinitite, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it is glass. It's just like obsidian, cabin obsidian or Libyan desert glass, right? Moldavite is glass, right?
Right.
Well, most Moldavite actually is glass today, but
Yeah, that's one of those things we were talking about that you have to be so careful. There is a lot of fake Moldavite on the market.
yeah, I
Matter
always
of fact,
tell
the
people
majority of it.
Yeah, I always tell people just don't buy it. I read about 5 years ago, and I can't say that it's true, but I've read an estimate that 95% of the Moldavite on the market today is fake. So, and I just tell people not even to bother with it.
The real Moldavite only comes out of, let's see, it's over by Turkey somewhere, correct?
Czech Republic.
Czech.
Czech Republic, yeah.
Yep. Moldav region.
Moldavia.
Yep. So I have a significant collection of Moldavite that I had bought in pieces probably 18 to 20 years ago, and I'm pretty confident that it's true and blue Moldavite, or true and green Moldavite. But yeah, I tell people the same thing. Stay away from it right now.
Yeah. I had a friend that bought a buttload of it back in the 80s, and he dumped it about 20 years ago. Hopefully you got some of his when you
I tell you,
bought
I
it,
got
because
some-
I know all his was real. So we
Yeah,
actually...
I've got some
If
pretty
you know what you're
big
looking
pieces,
for.
and my in-laws and my wife are originally from Europe, so it was bought overseas and brought over firsthand. So I'm pretty certain it's all authentic.
You can usually tell if you look at it under a microscope if you know what you're looking for. So, right, part of the problem with buying it is that you don't have it in hand. Usually, you're buying it, online or something, so you really can't look at it under the microscope. And I'm always leery to buy some for my shop to find out it's not real afterwards, and then have the person tell me they're not going to give me my money back for it too. So,
Right, 18, 20 years ago in Europe, they weren't trying to manufacture a faux Moldavite, you know?
Most of it's coming from China, but it's being sold out of the Czech Republic. So,
Yeah.
Those are the things that I like to look for. You get that once in a lifetime lucky draw, and something that you can hold on to. I'm probably one of the few people you'll talk to who have a piece of Trent agate out of Oregon, because it was mine for such a short time. And I actually met someone local who met the family after the gentleman who owned the mine. It was only open a few months, and I made a deal with him. I did some cabbing for him, and I have a piece of that. So that's one of those things that, like Sam, I'll never let go. That is something that I know is real, and I know what it is. And that's what I like to come across. I got a couple of pieces of Rio Napomo marcasite the same way. And again, knowing the difference between that and what comes out of Indonesia and some of the other countries really makes it great when you find the real thing.
Sure does.
It's sort of like when you're trying to buy a bamboo opal or wood opal, and you can tell when it's man-made, when it's just pure, made from epoxy or just resin from the real thing.
Right.
That's a really good topic there to bring up, is how would the general public be able to test to see if a stone is real or not? I'd like your guys' opinions.
I'm not sure that that's an easy thing to answer, honestly, without having somebody who's knowledgeable. 90% of the IDs I make, I just do by sight, and that's because going back
Right.
to that time I spent traveling around the country, going to every museum and rock shop that I could find, and I've been blessed with a near photographic memory, so I just have visions of all that stuff in my head, and that's how I identify things. That's how I can tell if something is real, but I don't know how just a person in the general public can gather all that knowledge quickly, unfortunately. I mean, there are some simple tests, but that's not always going to help you. You know, like a streak test, a hardness test, those aren't always going to help you with what you need to know, unfortunately.
I think one way, if a person will take their time, a lot of the fake materials are made with an epoxy resin. And
Right.
if you're going to buy something like that you're not really sure, buy a very small amount. Test it on your wheel, see how it grinds, see what it's like when it heats up. Break a piece off of the end and see what the cleavage and everything looks like on it, because epoxy will break differently than what any type of silicated materials will.
Right, you'll smell it too.
Smell
You
it,
can-
correct?
Yeah. What you can also do, this is what they do for amber. They heat up like a small needle, like really hot, and if it melts straight through it, then you know it's baked or it's false,
Mhm.
depending on how it goes. So that's how I tested it for like some amber I bought here that I was using for school, and I know it's fake because the way it feels, it didn't feel the texture as natural amber. So it's just depending on how you know the texture is, or even for opals. You know, opals come in different shapes, different sizes. But sometimes the sandy potch, you can feel if you look really closely. I'm very detail oriented. So when I look at the stones, you can sometimes see the little the seam where the epoxy meets the stone, where it's real and
Mhm.
where it's fake. You can easily
The
see the little
suspension of
line.
it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You just gotta
One,
pay really close attention. That's it.
one way I can tell amber from copal is if you take a piece of it and you rub it on your jeans very briskly for a couple of minutes and smell it. If it smells
Yeah,
like pine, it's not amber.
yeah.
They've added something to it to give it that.
Well, copal, which is basically the same thing. It's pine sap, but it hasn't petrified yet.
Right.
So you'll get this
Yeah.
pine smell off of that, where because of the amber's been petrified, you don't really get the smell from it.
Okay.
So.
See, and that's a market I don't deal in. I mean, I do have some blue amber that I got from someone, but other than that, that's something I don't deal in at all. So I have very little experience with that.
Yeah, I think really just looking and trying to find a mentor is the best way. You can ask them questions. I know that several of us here are mentors, and if you have issues with a stone you think might be fake, come to us, ask us. You know, each different stone is going to have a different way to tell. It might be a microscope, it might be all kinds of things. So just reach up. That's what we're here for.
Microscope. I just bought a petrographic microscope this week. I'm anxious to. I got it over at the new place. I haven't even unpacked it yet. I'm really anxious to check it out.
Well, I think we've had a really great show today, and I'd just like to let each of you guys leave a final comment. Make sure you tell us how to get to your stuff, and we'll start with you, Kelley.
You can find my website at kellyskaleidoscope.com. I've got thousands of mineral specimens there for sale, lots of cabochons, cutting rough, I do not have any of my jewelry there for sale. It just doesn't do that well on the internet, so I mostly just sell it out of the shop. My final words to everybody: don't get discouraged. Keep at it. It's a really fun hobby, and just because you're not doing it right in the beginning doesn't mean you're not going to get it right later. It's not always that easy. Stick with it. You're going to have a lot of fun if you do.
Okay, thank you, Kelley. We'll go to Dave next.
Well, so our main site that you can go look, like I said, mostly we make pop sockets, and they are. I'm very proud of them. I work very hard on them. You can go to CF Autism, that's charliefrankautism.org, and you can see most of what we have for sale. I have a few more I'm getting ready to post up. Also would love it if you come and join our Facebook group, which is Rock Tumblers, 2 words, Rock Tumblers for Autism, and just come by and say hi. Every time I make a new rock socket, I list it there first before I put it online, let everyone see it. Always open to suggestions as well. If you have a material you'd like us to work with, let us know.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, I'm going to go to Matt next because you look like you're in an awkward position.
Awkwardly driving like I usually am. Luckily in a small neighborhood on back streets, but so I don't sell. Not that I'm against selling. I do plenty of buying, but I'm more of a collector. I do sell what we build, and you can check us out, if nothing else, for shits and giggles on blackstonecreations.com or on Facebook at Blackstone Outdoor, and do some pretty wild stuff. So check it out and appreciate it. Thank you, Kirsten.
Oh, thanks for being with us today, Matt. All right, Liz. Final words.
Thank you for the invitation, and well, it was a great show, even though we had some difficulties. But right now, I'm not selling anything. I'm just practicing. I'm really new at this hobby. I just started really getting into it about a year ago. So
Well, I'm really proud of you. Keep it up, okay?
thank you.
Thanks for being on with us today. All right, guys. Today, we did have some technical difficulties the first half hour of our show. So if you stuck with us, thank you. Do be sure to go into the description of the show today and check out everyone's links. And I do have my books listed on there. I have 5 books out now. And thank you for sticking around. You guys have an excellent week, and we'll be back again next week at a different time. We'll be an hour later. So it's going to be 6 o'clock next week. All right, guys. Let's see if I can do this time. Bye.